Margrethe Wivel, you're from the the Women's Immigrant Centre here in Copenhagen. How are you connected to the EMKR?
I'm a member of the board. I was elected at the Constitution. When all the members were elected, I was elected as well. And I represent, I think, more marginalized women here, because in my center we have social and legal advice for very marginalized people, marginalized minority women. We have about 250 each year that we give legal or social advice. So I see how all the laws are implemented in the municipalities and what the effects are. So I very much hope that I can bring into this work that we have a clear focus on what marginalizes these women more than they should be.
What problems do they face, or do they have?
For instance, poverty. A lot of the women that seek my counsel are lonely mothers, only mothers, with a lot of kids, and they have very little money. But we also have couples, and they are hit, so to speak, by what we call 450 hours rules, which means that you have to, even though you are acknowledged to be far away from the labor market, you have to produce, both you and your husband, both man and wife, 450 hours of regular work, and they cannot perform this.
That's in a calendar year, or in a year?
Within 2 years.
Within 2 years.
But still, if you are very marginalized from the labor market, this is something they cannot meet. And you acknowledge them on one hand to be very far from the labor market, and you try to help them, but then again you take the money away when they can't perform, and then you have some very poor families. And I also see families on what we call starthjælp, which is like the introduction help that you give refugees.
How do you advise them, or how do you help them?
I cannot advise them or help them against the law, but of course when you have so little money, you have to be very specific on what you spend your money at. So we also give economical advice on how to make a budget and how to control that very little money you have. But unfortunately we also see when people or families are pressured, other problems follow along, and the problems that the children might have at school, they don't have the energy to cope with. They are so preoccupied with dealing or getting along the way and trying to find money for food and electricity and house rent. So often these other problems, like the children's problem in schools or their own health problem, they are left aside, and they build up, and finally you might have even criminalized youth or very, very sick women. So we try to sort of structure the problems and help them in each the way we can, but we cannot fight the law.
How does your council view solutions to this? Not you personally, but your council.
So say that again.
Not you personally, but your council.
How they try to help with these problems.
Or see solutions to the problem.
Many of the women who come to our counseling are not aware of the help they can actually get. They're not told about the paragraphs in the law that if you have a handicapped child, you can get help for this and that. They're not either told, or they're not aware how to apply for it. So often we help them to apply for what they're legally entitled to. In other kind of counseling might be if they have a loan, they might have taken up an internet loan because they're trying to pay one loan and they take up another loan. And I know this is a bad way of going about your money business, but they do sort of just get by. Then we try to break up the loans and make one big loan and make rates so they can actually pay. So it's also about structuring the problems.
And how great is the problem? Are there many people who come to you?
Those who come to us for counseling, they might have just very small problems. They're not able to read the letter that came from their child's class teacher. So we're just explaining what was this about. But it can escalate all the way up to that they're maybe put out of their apartment next month if they don't pay this and that. And then of course we have to have the social system to work with us. So it's very broad spectrum.
So there's a need for Danish teaching? There's a need for getting more into society?
There's a need definitely for getting more into society and to get a foothold on the labour market. Too often we see that they're not employed or they cannot hold on to their jobs at the labour market, maybe because they wear scarves, so there are many jobs they can't get, or if they are a only mother with 4 kids, they cannot have night cleaning jobs, and they're illiterate, so they cannot take up, there are not that many jobs for them anymore. So yes, education, Danish education, and being able to work on a more on other kinds of jobs. Actually, we are working on inventing new kinds of jobs for these women. If they cannot take up a full-time job on a regular basis, we are trying to make other kinds of jobs for them so they can still earn some money.
Is society resilient enough to take them in this way, or is there a fight from your side?
Resilient in what way?
Will they easily accept?
Society accept these women? Some places they have no problems. I mean, like ESS, a cleaning company, they are very open-minded. But again, if you're an only mother, maybe you're even traumatized from the war and you're here in Denmark alone with 4 kids, or maybe you left your husband because he was violent, yet there was a lot of domestic violence in the family. You have another kind of social situation that makes you an unstable labor or unstable working woman, so to speak. So you have to have a more another kind of working market for them. But let me just add, it's not all about problems. Definitely, that's the point I want to take to BMKR. What I see here, but also we work very much on bringing together ethnic minority women and ethnic Danish women, because so many people on either side don't know each other, and they have a lot of ideas on both sides about each other. So we have dinners, we make food together, eat together, have the children playing, all kinds of events that can make the women meet each other and bond despite their cultural diversity.
And this is the direction you think will work?
Yes.
Okay. Margrethe, thank you much indeed.